In 2024 is the first DICAP talk. On behalf of DICAP President Mr. Noor Hasib, I am DICAP General Secretary Ashikur thanking you for coming. You know that in recent times in the world, terrible genocide is going on in Palestine. In the meantime, the International Court of Justice has ordered to stop this genocide. But decades after decades, torture and killing have been going on in the Gaza. In such a situation, Bangladesh as a state and the people of this country as a human being are on the side of Palestinian people. In such reality, we have chosen to discuss the Palestine issue. Honorable Ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Yousef H.E.Mr. Ramadan is our guest today. Now I am hand over the microphone to DICAP President Noor Hasib, who will conduct the event.
So, thank you, General Secretary, for your introduction. Thank you, Excellency Ambassador, for accepting our invitation and giving your time. This is, in fact, our first DICAP talk in this year. So, and thank you all, dear members of the Diplomatic Correspondents Association Bangladesh. You all know that innocent civilians are being killed every day in Palestine by Israeli forces, and we Bangladesh people are always supportive to the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people, which is the establishment of an independent and sovereign Palestinian state. And our government repeatedly condemned the brutalities. We support a two-state solution, which is the only viable way to ensure lasting peace in the region. So it's one of the most pressing problems, and we DICAP thought that we must be updated about what is happening there in Gaza and its regional and global ramifications. And Excellency Ambassador is the we thought that Excellency Ambassador is the perfect person who can tell us what is happening on the ground. So with that, I will end here and welcome the Ambassador to make his opening remarks, which will be followed by question and answer sessions. But before that, just a little note for smooth running of the event. After the Ambassador's statement, we will allow our respective DICAP members to ask questions. So the thing is that one question at a time, so that we can accommodate as many questions as possible, and even if time permits, then we will also allow a few comments, but that will also be encouraged very precise. So, and to do that, as usual, DICAP members will get the priority. So with that, I will welcome the Ambassador to make his opening.
I wanted to start by thanking you all for coming here and for giving me this great opportunity. Giving me this great opportunity to be your first guest in 2024. I hope it's going to be a good start for all of us. And I wanted to thank my dear brother, Noor Hasib, and Mr. Ashikur Rahman for arranging this gathering. I will try to do my best to answer all your questions, and I will also try my best to be as brief as possible and touch upon issues which is really important for Palestine and for the sake of justice. When we talk about Bangladesh support Palestine, it's not because you support Palestine because our name is Palestinian. It isn't so. You support Palestine because you support justice. You have chosen to support justice. You support Palestine because the first Qibla of Islam is being under occupation since 1967. Support Palestine because the injustice inflicted on the Palestinian people, the people of Bangladesh reject that. And when you reject it for others, you reject it for yourself. And that's why you went in the struggle in 1971 in order to liberate your country. and to live in honor and dignity and sovereignty. People today who fail Palestinian, who fail the people in Gaza, are prepared to fail their own countries. The Palestinian issue started long time ago. Some people say since the first conference of the Zionists in 1897 in Bâle in Switzerland, and some people say it's in 1917 when Arthur Balfour issued a declaration or a promise to the Jewish to establish a Jewish state on part of Palestine. And practically it started in 1948 when Israel was established over our territory. It's not important those dates. What's important is what happened practically and which price the Palestinians had to pay. In the last century and in this century, I believe the most unjust issue happened is on the Palestinian people because it is the longest one. And we are the only nation on this earth in which we do not have a state, in which most of us living as refugees all over the world. And our right was always and still is denied. By whom? By, unfortunately, the international community. International community doesn't mean the 196 countries in the world. No, not at all. The national communities mean the main players in this world, the northern part of this world. US, UK, France, Germany, Italy, all these countries. Those are the most effective people. How long are we going to remain hostage for those, for the international community? You see, direct conflict we have is of course with the Israeli, that's true. But what's more important is who is standing behind this force. Because nobody can ever believe that 5.6 million Israeli in Palestine are able to control 400 million Arabs. Or 14 million Jews in the world are able to control the Western media, the Western financial institute, the Western policy. I mean, the mind cannot accept it. The human mind cannot accept it. It did not existed before. It doesn't exist today, and it will never exist. This is not true. What true is, Israel is the front gate of the Western policy and the Western interest. It's just a curtain which has so many things, so many dark stuff behind it. Today, after the 7th of October, this curtain is down. The mask is being removed and everything became clear. To you, to us, to everybody. That's why we see the changes taking place since the 7th of October till today. Of course, all the changes taking place is in favor of the Palestinian people, but at which price? The price, you all know, is very heavy. The price is our blood, our children, our women, our man, our land, being starved, living without electricity, without food, without medicine, without security, without homes, in a very miserable way. In any way that I try to describe the situation in Palestine, I'm sure I will fail to present to you the truth, because you have to see it in your own eyes so you can believe it. You can imagine how it is. So this price was very heavy. Finally, when you look for freedom, then you need to pay a price. When you seek justice, then you need to pay a price. We did our part. We paid the price. Now, what are the world are willing to do? And before I start with the world what going to do, what are the Arab world going to do? And then behind them, what are the Muslim world are willing to do? Because those are the people we should count on. And then those are the people who are able to change the position to the Western world, to impose their policy on the Western world, not the other way around. But what's happening today is the West are imposing their policy on us. Until when that's going to last? I think the 7th of October has changed that. I haven't seen a country like Bangladesh, Muslim country, who really seeks real unity among Muslim world. I have been in this country for 9 years. Every time I meet a Bangladeshi citizen, official or non-official, and he doesn't ask this question, why the Muslims are not united? That's a very good question. But there's so many reasons behind that. As long, I think the people, all the people on all the 57 countries of the OIC, they really seek unity, they want unity, their target, their aim, their desire are unity, because they know that in unity, only you get strength through unity. And weakness, we don't have that unity. That's what the people want. But does the leadership reflect what the people want? Unfortunately, I don't see that. If you see it, please, I want to let them know. Why? This is a long story that will need days to discuss. But I'm going to come back to Palestinian issue. The Palestinian people doesn't like bloodshed, doesn't like killing, doesn't like destruction. We were always a peaceful country. From 6,000 years, Palestine is there 4,000 BC or 5,000 BC. Jerusalem was built 5,000 BC before Judaism, before Ibrahim a.s. came to Palestine. So nobody has the right to claim that this country belongs to us, except those people who used to be called Canaanites, and then later on Palestinians. Other claims are not true at all, regardless of what the Old Testimony mentioned or did not mention. What's important is we believe that God is just. God cannot accept that a nation comes and take over from another nation and push them out forcibly. It doesn't work at all. We as a Muslim people, we don't believe that God can be unjust. God is a just. So the claim of the Jewish or the Israeli that Palestine, we lived there 2,000 years ago and then we have the right. Yes, they lived with us for 2,000 years ago, that's true. But they lived with us, not we lived with them. We were there before them, not they came and lived with us. That happens always. People can come and live with you from other nation, from other religions, fine, there's no problem. But it doesn't mean they have the right in the future to claim that this is our land, this is our homes, because we were here 2,000 years. We were there 6,000 years ago. We built the country. Anyway, what my meaning is that see how the power are able to change history and always able to reflect the realities on the ground because they are powerful and they can impose their policy on the weak. And that's what exactly happened to the Palestinians. Unfortunately, we live in a world where always like that. Power are always respected. You're always respected when you're powerful. And when you're weak, the people will feel always pity about you. Simple. But that doesn't help. That's why Israel was crazy after the 7th of October. Completely crazy. Because new facts and new realities rose up. One of those facts that since the establishment of this state, Israel always wanted the Arab world and the rest of the world to believe that this country existed to stay forever because no one can defeat our army and no one can defeat our system. The 7th of October changed these realities. The other thing, due to the security issue of Israel, I believe most of the world, many countries of the world, they learn from the Israeli how to maintain a good security. They buy even equipment from the Israeli for the security purposes and so on. After the 7th of October, the idea has changed. No, if you cannot protect your own, how can you protect us? If your equipment could not protect you, how can they protect us? In the field, the daily fighting taking place between the Palestinian resistance and the Israeli, the most important tank in the world, Merkava. Many countries buy Merkava because Merkava is a very powerful tank. And then they discovered that the anti-missiles fired against the Merkava is homemade, tunnel-made actually, by a small group with no sophisticated equipment. They were able to destroy or at least spoil this Merkava. So this is also related to security and the power that Israel has shown. In the 7th of October, as you all remember, there was about between 1,000 to 1,200 people from the resistance who were able to invade a territory about 30 kilometers away from Gaza Strip. No tanks, no plane, no advanced equipment or military stuff. They were in a motorbike and something they have made up with 2 people can fly. I don't know how they did that. And then the rest were driving a normal SUVs. They just went in like they were going on a picnic. You have seen all that. They only had the AK-47, pistols and few grenades, and they were able to invade and control 11 military posts, kill at least 400 or 500 people, soldiers, and occupy cities, villages, kibbutz for 6 to 8 hours. That 1,200 people were able to paralyze such a powerful country for 6 hours. What would happen if those 1,200, there were 12,000, or 120,000, or 1.2 million? What would happen to Israel? This is the question. What would happen if those 12,000, they have better equipment, military equipment, they had supplies? What would happen? So, the story of Israel cannot be defeated, demolished. 1 week after, it was proven that none of the resistance movement shot or killed directly child or woman in Israel. 1 week or 10 days, I think, after this incident, the world start to change. You remember all they showed, they claimed that there was beheaded babies, rape, burning bodies. And I remember on the 8th of October, I was invited to Channel 24, and I was clear. I was saying that I don't believe it happens this way. Why I don't believe? Because these people, these 1,200 people who went inside, majority of them, if not all, they went in not because they will come back. They know they will not come back. Most of them, if not all of them. They go to be shaheed. And you know, most of you are Muslim, you understand what shaheed means. Shaheed means you go straight to heaven. And you go straight to heaven because you're doing something noble, something great, something God has ordered you to do. But you cannot kill a child and go to heaven. You cannot rape a woman and go to heaven. You cannot burn a body and go to heaven. It can never happen. So this, only mercenary will do that. But not a freedom fighter. Not a fighter who seeks shahada, to be shaheed. Never. And then later on, from their own newspaper, Hearts, and then later on others and others, they said, majority of the people died through a crossfire. Because the Israeli were willing to kill as much as possible from the people in order to recontrol the area which the resistance movement captured. And that's why there was civilian casualties. CNN, which we all know is supposed to be #1 channel in the world, there was a time the first week the viewers were decreasing because CNN and BBC as well, they were providing one narrative, the Israeli narrative. And the people saw something else on the social media thanks to the social media. So they were switching to other channels. Then after that, the BBC as well as the CNN, they tried to be balanced and present the other narrative also. So this is how you are able to force people or force institution who goes blindly behind Israel to change their position. Again, it's a price to be paid. And the Palestinians, I think they're willing to pay price. Because Palestinians are paying price since 1948, even before, since the British came to Palestine in 1914, after they won the First World War, we are under occupation. But most of the prices, most of the people who were killed, more than 150 or 200,000 people, almost for nothing, no results. But today, okay, the proportion is very high. We have 26,000 today, and we have still 10 to 12,000 under the rubble, which we don't know there. But we all know that finally they cannot live under rubble for about 2 months. So we consider them shuhada. So we have 36 to 38 people, 1,000 people, right? 65,000, 66,000 injured. And still the massacres is going on. Israel enjoy impunity from 1948 till the International Court of Justice passed its sentence, then sent a clear message that you, the state of Israel, will no more enjoy this impunity. You commit a crime, you pay for it, just like any other. Because the court itself, the reputation of the court was at stake. It had to take a decision. South Africa presented a very clear and strong lawsuit, evidence, video footage, statements by officials of Israeli officials, and so on. So there was no way, no chance for any judge who would say no to the evidence presented by the South African. And also we have to admit that Bangladesh also was the second to join this. This was also a courageous move from Bangladeshi government, which we highly appreciate. I think you all read all the 6 points of the ICJ. 4 out of 6 indirectly admit that Israel committed crimes and genocide, indirectly. 2 were about civilians and humanitarian issue and so on. You can tell by, if you know that there was 2 judges added to the ICJ, one from Israel, one from South Africa. So there were total 17 judges. If you realize that 2 points, the Israeli judge in favor of those 2 points, and the other 4 points he was against. So you should know that all the 4 points, because it does condemn Israel indirectly of committing the genocide. And the other 2 points he was in favor, the other 4 he was against. But all the original, out of the 15 members of the court's judges, 14 were in favor, except one who get, I'm sure, a good price. She received a good amount of money and then she voted. Even she was more Israeli than the Israeli judge. She voted against all 6. And anyway, her country rejected her ruling and rejected her position, which is very good of Uganda to do. And for us as a Palestinian now, the Palestinian issue is becoming on the top agenda of the world. They say, why the 7th of October? Well, everybody knows why the 7th of October happened. If Mr. Biden did his homework well, as he promised during his election time, but he did nothing for 3 years, nothing at all. If he worked as hard as he's doing today, working hard to establish an independent Palestinian state, if he did that, the 7th of October wouldn't have happened. If the international community really worked for the solution of the Palestinian issue, the problem, the 7th of October, wouldn't have happened, and we wouldn't have lost so many people. So it's their hand, the blood of those people are in their hand, in their responsibility. This should be clear. The problem we're facing today is that we all are a hostage of the American administration. Why? Today, Mr. Biden are doing his best to solve the problem. To solve the problem according to the wish of the international community, or what's called the international community, two-state solution. Later I will explain what does two-state solution mean. But let's say, if Mr. Biden succeeded, it will take 2, 3, 4 years. If he did succeed, and then someone else comes to power in the White House, then what happens to us? Everything will go vain, especially if the man we all don't wish that he will come back to White House, Mr. Trump, because he have a different opinion, different views of all this issue. He's the closest friend to Mr. Netanyahu, and his favorite nation is Israel, and so on. So what will happen to the Palestinians? Can you imagine that the 15 million people are hostage in the hand of one man? Is it true? Yes. Why? Because we as a Muslim nation are extremely weak and divided. We are 2 billion, the biggest in the world. Muslims, China, India. We are the biggest consumers in the world. So everybody needs us. All the industrial countries need to sell their product to us. Are we willing to use this power in favor of the interest of our people? Not only in Palestine, in all the Muslim countries. I think you as a journalist have hand in this one. Maybe nobody ever accused you, but I am going to accuse you. It is very... From where does the people get the knowledge and experience? From you, right? We get basic from schools and universities. But then later on, you're the people who give us the knowledge. We plan our structure, our strategy upon your information, the information you provide us. I'm not talking about Palestinian issue, I'm talking about all the general issue, all the important issue, which is really effective in our daily life as a Muslim nation, not as a Bangladeshi, Indian, Bangladeshi or Indonesia or Pakistani or whatever. As a Muslim, as a whole. I know people from press, they run after hot issues. But believe me, this is very hot.